Call the meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular board meeting of the Umatilla County Commissioners. Remind you that a record of this meeting is being kept, both written form and visual form available for the public. We have no awards, recognition, or correspondence I'm aware of. We have minutes of a previous meeting, July 18th, 2018.
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
I'll second that. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Additions to the agenda. I'm going to make a new item 1, which is borrowing the county's reader board for the Roundup Parade. Any other additions to the agenda?
No.
Okay. This time we'll accept public input from any visitors who would like to speak and who are not a part of the regular 14-item agenda. Please identify yourself and your address.
My name is Jackie Carey. I'm from 695 Northeast Gumwood, Pilot Rock, Oregon. We were here a couple of months ago from PAWS. I am a board president of PAWS. And we would like to maybe just talk to one, I don't know, you give me suggestions, I guess is what I need. As you probably have read in the newspaper and seen on TV, we're getting inundated with hoarder dogs. We got 28 on August 19th, and then there was 50 some that were in the county just last week that we had no room for, and we made arrangements so they could go over to Benton, Franklin, in Washington. And so what we would like to do, financially we're getting buried, and we would like to maybe get a contract or some financial help from the county, because a lot of these dogs are from the county, and if there's any suggestions you have and how we can go about doing that, we sure would appreciate it. I don't know we're to the point where we don't have, our facilities isn't big enough. We couldn't take the 50 dogs that came out of the county at the sheriff's office, I guess, confiscated. But so I just like some suggestions from you guys how we could go about maybe getting some help.
We were scheduled to take up this issue yesterday morning just to talk about it, but Commissioner Alfring has had to be out for several days for family business. I would guess we'll probably take this up at our next staff meeting, which will be in several weeks.
Okay.
And then what I will do, talking to council, after that meeting, I will get in touch with you, Jackie,
okay,
and tell you what I would recommend as next steps. How's that?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Give me your phone number if you don't mind giving it public.
My home number is 541-443-8551, and my cell number is 541-377-8136.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. And I'll get up. It might be several weeks. Next week is the AOC meetings too, and so I think our next actual staff meeting will be the 17th. So I'll call you after that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else in the public who wishes to speak? Okay. Then we will move into our business. Our first new item is Jack Remillard making a request, but please identify yourself, Jack.
I'm Jack Remillard. I need my address.
72220. That's 5 digits, 72220. Got it? Tutuila Creek Road, Pendleton. Okay, on the behalf of the Roundup, I'd like to request the use of the county's reader board to place west of the prison on Highway 30 to slow traffic down on parade day, because due to the loss of the use of the Hatley lot this year, we're having a tough time finding the spots for wagons and stuff like that that's being brought in for the parade. And so we're going to put them across the highway from the north of the highway on the city's property that used to be the old treatment center. We're going to put some there and some down behind the prison also if we need to, but they'll all be coming out onto Highway 30 there. And so I'd like to slow the traffic down as much as we can to prevent what could be a disaster, So the speed limit there is 40, and I'd like to place a sign, I think probably up there where that wide spot is by across from the pits up there, and hopefully get traffic to slow down. I talked to Tom Fellows yesterday about it. He said I needed to request it from you guys, so here I am.
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
Second, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, it's done.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Contact Tom.
Yes,
And Tom's right back
he's in the
back.
back row. All right. Item number 1.
This was 1A that we just finished?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. That was item 0.
Good morning, Commissioner Murdoch, Commissioner Givens. My name's Jeff Rost. I'm continuing to be the administrator of the East Umatilla County Ambulance Area Health District out in Athena. And this is our annual return to you to request continuation of our waiver to operate the ambulance district out in Athena with a reduced staffing level. We currently have to request annually from the state a waiver to do that, and we need your permission to do that. That allows us to run with a paramedic in the back of the ambulance and a CPR-trained driver operating the ambulance. And so this is just a formality. We have to do this every year to come back and renew that waiver, and that's my purpose here today.
You haven't lost staff. This is just your annual.
This is common amongst volunteer-based agencies, which we do now have some full-time staff, but in order to put 2 people in the ambulance, we do rely heavily on volunteers. And we can't always guarantee that that second volunteer will be a full-trained paramedic or EMS-trained person. So we do have to rely on our CPR-trained drivers.
Ready for a motion?
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
Is there a second? Yeah, I'll second it. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for your time.
Yep. Item number.
Jeff, do you want a letter? Oh, super, yes.
Item number 2, civil software purchase.
Morning, everyone. Morning, Jim.
Good morning.
You doing okay this morning?
The request this morning is for purchase of some software for the Civil Division. I'm here on behalf of Lieutenant Holcomb, who's out of the area, but she drafted a letter explaining the circumstances of the purchase and the reasons why it's funded through the capital expenditures. So it's already in the budget. Apparently there was a delay in purchasing the software. Deschutes County, who also uses this, was working with the vendor to work out some bugs, and now all have been worked out. The software is used by Deschutes. I believe Washington County also uses this same software. It will help us be more efficient in the services of all the court documents that civil processes and all the other functions of the Civil Division. So I'm here to answer questions if I can, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
And you budgeted for this, right?
It's in the budget, yes.
I have no questions. We talked about this yesterday, so I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
Second, favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 3, public health reorganization. We actually have 3, 4, and 5 that are all public health initiatives. So we'll take them in whatever order you wish to present them.
Good morning. Joe Fiumara, Environmental Health Supervisor with UCO Health.
Alicia Southwick, Wellness and School Health Supervisor with UCO Health.
And so the first one we have here is to review and approve restructure of the management mostly of UCO Health. Appoint myself as the director with Alicia as a newly created deputy director position, and the creation of a community health supervisor position. This is a restructure that, as far as impact on the general fund, based on analysis run by Finance Department, is less than a $2,000 difference in general fund on the budget, and is something that we feel will be a sustainable model moving forward and curb the revolving door that we've had at the administration level in the past for the last 4 or 5 years.
Just for the record, would you let us know the additional FTEs?
Sure. Overall, the additional FTE is approximately 1.0.
Okay.
FTE increase in the overall budget, mostly funded out of various grants and fee-funded programs that we administer.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to connect those two, there was an $1,800 impact on the general fund. The bulk of that is coming out of separate, the environmental health, right?
Well, the general fund is
The
not
impact
the way
general
to-
fund is $1,800, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Why don't you introduce Amanda too? while you're there?
Okay.
You don't have to talk, Amanda. You just have to be. We'll acknowledge you.
This is. Yourself?
I'm Amanda Walsborn, Prevention Education at UCO Health.
And soon to become community health supervisor. Okay. All right. Questions regarding the reorganization? I will say I am not only really happy with the job you did with the reorganization, but I'm really happy with the subsequent success we've been having already in terms of not just filling our leadership positions, but filling our staffing positions. So these are essentially lifetime positions, so congratulations. And I'll make the motion to accept the reorganization plan.
Since you're the liaison, that's a good thing.
I know.
Okay, I'll second that.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations to all of you.
And then you'll also need to make 2 other motions.
I know. There's one. The creation of EHS 3 position at range 28. I move we approve that.
Second.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And a third motion, approval to increase the NFP nursing supervisor position from .5 FTE, .8 FTE, effective September 1st, 2018, contingent on MIE CHV funding, availability, and duration. Make that motion.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Item number 7 is the boiler replacement. Mr. Lanai, are you addressing that subject?
That's not the boiler replacement.
What?
Do we have the election one first?
Election
That's what I
table.
had.
Did I skip that?
That's okay.
Oh, sorry.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dan Lanai with Administrative Services. The election payable, this is a typical expense for printing out our envelopes every year. Sometimes we print enough that we don't have to print them to the next year, so sometimes it's an every other year, but it's a budgeted expense. It's over $5,000. It's $17,000 for our envelopes, and they're the outside envelope, the secrecy sleeve, and the return envelope. So we go through quite a few envelopes with 40,000 plus voters, and we do at least 2 elections a year. So typical expense to run elections. just need your approval to
I
pay the bill.
move we approve the expenditure.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. And continue on into the boiler replacement.
The next item is the boiler for the courthouse here. We have two boilers that run this facility, and one of them died the end of last winter, but we were able to limp along because it was the warmer part of the end of the winter and the beginning of the spring, but now is the time that we need to replace them. We went out for, replace that unit. We went out for RFP. The bid we got back, we only received one from Mechanical Heating and Air for $87,500. I would like the board to approve that bid so we could get that replaced before we start needing to use our boilers here, which will be pretty soon, because into September, we start around Roundup, we usually get our first frost somewhere around that time, so it's going to start cooling down here quickly.
Dan, are any of these new purchases, will that give us any financial assistance from Oregon Energy Trust?
I think the way this is, it's including some of that taken into account, the vendor did, but there are some, because it is a little bit more efficient than the other and does meet, and we're going to apply for all that paperwork. But
okay. Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second, in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let me know if there's a frost next week, would you, Dan?
Well, I always worry about my tomatoes and stuff, so.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I have.
We can only hope. All right. Item 8, culvert replacement or purchase.
Good morning, sir.
Fellows, Public Works Director. So, we went out for a request for proposal for a aluminum box culvert to replace a bridge on Pumpkin Center Road, and we got three respondents to the request. One of them was from Contech for $36,975. Eastern Oregon Rentals for $32,232, and Pacific Corrugated Pipe for $47,900. The road department were perfectly happy with what Eastern Oregon Rentals has proposed, and so we're requesting authorization to purchase that aluminum box culvert for $32,232.19.
Tom, all three of those were for an aluminum box culvert?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd move we approve the low bid from Eastern Oregon Rentals.
Second, they say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Thank you very much.
Item number 9, agricultural burn ban.
Good morning, Commissioners. Gina Miller with the Code Enforcement Program and liaison to the Smoke Management Program. We have before you today a request to lift partially the general burn ban that's in effect right now, lift the agricultural portion effective immediately, and leaving the non-agricultural burn ban in place until further notice. Typically, we lift the non-ag portion of the burn ban usually the first week of October. We've had several requests from local farmers who need to get some fields taken care of so they can get their new crops in the ground by mid-September.
I think I'd asked you earlier, Gina, did we have any local jurisdictions that have lifted any of their burn bans?
So far, everybody is still intact.
Okay.
I mean, they're all kind of holding fast.
Okay, and this will only be good for a couple of days, then we go into Roundup?
Right. We are going to, the burning is banned during Roundup week.
Right.
It'll start next Sunday and through or next Saturday through the following Sunday anyway. So it'll just give a very brief window for these farmers to get this week and then for after Roundup is over.
Okay. I would move approval.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Item 10, the stiff contract.
This is coming before the board for approval to contract a portion of the STIF program. The county has initiated the STIF program and formed the advisory committee. The next step is to try to get someone to help in the coordination process with the STIF committee as well as the STIF plan. And so what is proposed is the county contract with the Eastern Oregon Business Source for these coordination services.
And we had talked about that in our staff meeting, so.
And the proposed cost is at the most $73,000, and the intent is to request that a part of the STIF plan to have these funds paid through the state and reimburse the county.
Okay.
Not that it was essential to the decision, but Robert Walter shared that information with the mayors and managers from the West County yesterday, and I thought it was quite well received.
It was.
I think they're enthusiastic about this route. So,
one of the things that was brought out, and this needs to be on the record too, is that this puts the administrative cost at between 5 and, was it 8? 5 and 8?
I think
5 and
if we
8%.
get the maximum amount of money that is proposed for generation, it represents about a 5% administration cost for this particular contract.
Where a lot of administration costs are 30 to 40% or more. So it's a pretty good deal. Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
Second, in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 11, sale of property. Paul?
Paul Chalmers, Director of Assessment and Taxation, Umatilla County. I'm going to let Doug take the lead, but I'd certainly like to inject some thoughts after Doug's comments.
Okay, some time ago, in 2001, the county foreclosed on these two tax lots. The former owners have recently contacted the county to try to repurchase the property. The county had originally intended to keep this property as a potential for the Lewis and Clark was it bicentennial?
Yeah, I think so.
It's been so long ago. And it really wasn't needed. And so it is no longer needed for the county's purposes, so it would be potentially available for sale. Under the state law, you can sell it back to the former owners for, at minimum, the amount of taxes that were uncollected at the time it was foreclosed on. This was in farm deferral. It's approximately, 6 acres and 25 acres, about 30 acres in farm deferral, and the taxes are about $3.50 a year. So when it was foreclosed on, the delinquent taxes were about $53. So that's the reason under state law, the least amount that you could sell it to is $53.
That's how many acres?
It's about 25. The next slide sort of shows, or not the last one. This is down near Warehouse Beach. If you keep going, it shows an aerial of the property. Oh, and that's sideways, sorry about that. So to your left, up at the top, is Warehouse Beach.
This would be the river.
Yeah. And then Highway 730 is to the south or to your right on the property. And the triangular, that is the larger of the two pieces. The next piece over that the county has owned is the 6-acre parcel. And then right next to that is the town site of Cold Springs.
So does the same family that wants to buy this back, do they own any of the surrounding property?
Yes, they own quite a few lots within Cold Springs. And those are current. They indicated that these tax statements went to their mother, and somewhere along the line it just sort of got dropped. They didn't know that they had lost the property, but they have kept current with the other about 8 parcels they own.
Just a little trip down memory lane here. At the time, Commissioner Hansel, I think, was on the state advisory, Lewis and Clark bicentennial something, back in 2001. And so I think that was the motivation behind having this held. My point, I guess, what I'd like to inject in this consideration is when we get to our fee structure opportunities, the administrative costs for what we had to do to go through the foreclosure process. I walked this property. We had to physically post the property. I think if there is ever any reconsideration of selling it back, there should be a flat fee associated to all the costs as a minimum, whether it's $500 or $1,000 reconveyance fee or whatever you want to call it, so the county at least recoups their physical costs for administering somebody else's inappropriateness as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just suggesting that when I saw this with a pinky and a $53 minimum, granted that's statutorily driven, but I think the associated costs for our administrative costs should be recouped.
So, Paul, give us an estimate of what those associated costs that our tax assessment department has incurred.
A minimum of $500, I think, would be appropriate.
No, I'm sorry. We normally charge back the cost of the foreclosure process to all of the accounts. And usually that's the publication fee and the attorney fees. And that roughly is about $50 an account. And that's what all the fees are charged back on these accounts.
I guess what I'm referring to is my time to go out, post the property,
right.
our
That's not the
office
foreclosure cost, but that would be the reimbursement for county time.
So if we go and seize, for example, if we go and seize personal property, in this particular case most recently where I used some of the maintenance staff for that purpose, those are associated costs that I think certainly the county has a right to recoup and would be tacked on to the associated cost of selling that property.
So what did you say the taxes a year were?
$3.50.
Okay, that's a byproduct of the system, not our...
Right.
Right. And so within the last 18 years, there's been roughly about $70 worth of tax that has not been collected on this property.
And then the $53 was the other associated cost.
Would be the actual cost of the foreclosure.
If we sell the property, I mean, if the county were to sell it at auction, would we recoup our costs?
What normally happens when property is sold, any of the proceeds are distributed, just the same as any other taxes. So the county would receive back roughly 28%.
20%.
What? 17% of that.
But the real market value is assessed at $3,000.
Well, no, the real market value is greater than.
Oh, I'm sorry, 13.
That's on one particular piece. That's 6.5 acres. There's a total of about 30 acres. Yeah, so we're talking real market value at this point in time in the $70,000 price range. I think one consideration would be, certainly if there was no one to bid on it, the county could entertain a value of something less than that. I think it would be reasonable from a stewardship standpoint to put it out to public offering. If you declare it as surplus, because obviously the Lewis and Clark aspect has come and gone. So from a stewardship standpoint, I think the county ought to consider just putting it out for public offerings.
So, Doug, legally, we could accept this $53, which I'm not in favor of doing, and not put it out for public bid or public notice.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do that? Ethically, that could create some issues. Because we haven't done a public notice for surrounding people that might be interested.
Under the state statute, you do not have to when you're selling it back to the former owner. They exempt that out. So it does not have to go through the auction process.
So there are specific provisions to the former owner.
Right, to sell it back to the former owner. and for that amount of money.
Well, I appreciate the extenuating circumstances behind the loss. I don't appreciate the costs imposed on the county for handling it.
Well, I don't either, and to be real honest, you have a previous owner that says, well, I want my property back now, I lost it however many years ago, and maybe I'm financially better off now, so sure, I'll pay $50 for it, or $100, or whatever. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
The other
I guess
option,
I would move that we put it out public notice
So put it part of that auction next year?
for surplus property. Unless you feel differently.
Well, I agree with the process of selling it back to the former owners, but I also think we ought to recoup our costs.
Well,
For
yeah,
having to go through the
that's
process.
why I,
So I'd sell it to them for $553. But
and this puts it back on the tax roll,
Right.
which is only,
Yeah.
what, $3 a year?
for EFU grounds, certainly.
Yeah.
Robert?
I would assume that collecting these proceeds is like collecting on a foreclosed property sale, so it would be distributed as a foreclosed property sale regardless of how we sell it. So
Yes.
we get
Yes.
17 cents on the dollar.
Yes.
Oh, even our costs?
Our costs, we could request those, the $50 or whatever. Those are our actual costs that the county has incurred. And then, of course, they'd pay the recording fees as well.
What would be the process if we decided to go ahead and declare it surplus property and put it out for public auction?
Then it would be part of the auction whenever the next one would be, probably next May or June. And it would be at the real market value, which probably wouldn't sell. And so then we would accept bids on it.
The bids,
That would be my preference.
the bids would be more than, I'm almost certain, more than $53.
What's precedent? Have we ever done this before?
Yes.
I'm only aware of one other instance.
We've done it routinely, selling it back. The last one was property down in the city of Umatilla 2 years ago. There may be one instance we said no, but I think the farm ground we
I was
went
thinking of the
with-
farm ground out in the Helix area that
Yeah.
that we sold back, I think it was 160 acre.
Yeah, I think I would say it's probably about 10 times we've done it in the last 15 years.
Well, it appears for the time being, we're going to have to table it because we aren't going to get action.
I guess, from an administrative standpoint, I guess I would encourage, there may be extenuating circumstances for who knows, but I think in general terms, you're talking a time frame from 2001 to current.
We're looking at 17 years.
I think it'd be appropriate, in my opinion, as a taxpayer, let alone administrator, that we don't validate, circumstances or whatever, because you're talking again about a stewardship issue from the county resource standpoint. So I would just throw out for consideration that for purposes of our process, if folks have the capacity or thinking that I can just let it go and then I'll worry about it later, that to me is inappropriate thinking. It's irresponsible.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to move that we declare this surplus property and put it up for auction at a future date.
And I want to table it, so I won't second it.
Okay.
So, can I arbitrarily table it? then I'll arbitrarily table it, and we'll continue to study the matter. How's that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, fair payable. I do wish to have this conversation come back to our staff meeting on the 17th.
Okay.
Okay? Is that all right,
Okay.
Commissioner Gibbons? This is a fair payable to United Rentals.
And we still owe it to them.
Yes.
If we don't pay it, it might not look good.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. 13, USDA payable.
This is coming before the board because of the dollar amount. It is for aerial management services provided by APHIS for $6,770.38.
I move adoption.
Approval.
Approval, yes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That concludes our agenda. Do you have anything to add?
No.
All right. We're adjourned.